Good morning, good morning. Here he comes. And it's good morning from Jack. It's Sunday morning. It's 25 minutes to 10. And I've been enjoying my coffee, just with the back door open. A few more roses continuing to bloom, sort of hanging on in there. In fact, it's more or less the last of the roses here on this side of the veranda anyway. What I've been doing, I've been on Facebook and Twitter just putting some photographs out and asking people what they think about this. So I've got two pieces of material. Now this is actually the material I bought in Belfast last year. Huge amount of beautiful material for £8. This is from an old curtain that I bought in a charity shop. So here goes. Which one do you think is going to look best? Oh, and by the way, as you can see, I've finished painting the bench. Let me just pull back a little bit and then you can see it properly. So there's the bench. And it doesn't look as garish now. In fact, it looks quite normal. I thought I'd made a little bit of a faux pas, with that colour. But actually, that works well. And it's sort of a mix of colours as well. It's not one particular colour. It's a mix of leftover paints, which I'm forever doing because I hate wasting stuff. And that way then you get these amazing colours that no one else seems to have. So that's with the blue material. Now, I'll just whip this off and put down the green. Now the green is a rather big lump of material, so I can't really spread it out perfectly to make it look like a cushion. Because I'm going to make a little sort of a padded cushion for this bench. Okay, right, let me just pull it back. So that's the crazy green. I'm not going to tell you which one I prefer. I'm going to leave you to make up your own mind and leave a comment underneath. And yeah. Take it from there, because I'm going to be doing a little bit of sewing later on today. So now I want to say a special shout out and good morning to Walter. Good morning, Walter. And Walter's in Belfast. And yeah, he's been enjoying my videos recently. So I said I'd give him a big shout out. Now, the roses are blooming around the little shed there. I think they're looking fabulous. And moving on from what's been happening with the ash trees, by the side of this little shed, there's been this ash tree which has been trying to grow. I keep cutting it back because I think I don't want this ash tree beside the shed. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to kind of leave it to grow a little bit. And I'm going to keep it pruned because I think that that's a good way to sort of keep it healthy. But anyway, look at the roses. They're fabulous. And you can see, of course, many of the paths have become almost impenetrable. So I'll have to get the clippers out at some point. And here's these extraordinary flowers. Oh, look. Little bit of a flower beginning to peep out there. I think this is going to look fabulous. And here. So this is that New Zealand Flax. It's been amazing that not just the New Zealand Flax, but virtually everything that had a promise of a flower has flowered this year. So it's just amazing. Hear the birds. And of course, look at the fuchsia up there by this shed, which I've been cutting back and cutting back. It seems to love to be cut back. It seems to sort of come on in a great strength altogether. And look at the cordyline over there. I mean, that cordyline is amazing. The scent, I must just bring you over. The scent of this flower, well, it's a kind of it's one flower head, but it's absolutely a mass of flowers. But the scent is divine. It's like the most expensive perfume you've ever smelled. Look at this, look at the bees all over it. It's absolutely, just breathing it in. No wonder the bees are going crazy. It's beautiful. It smells like, let me see now. Oh my word. It smells like jasmine. It's beautiful. Absolutely. Look at this, look. Look. That looks like a little honeybee on there. You see, the scent must travel a long, long distance because this is the first flower that I've actually seen honeybees on. Now, I know that on the other side of the hill, here at Ballyfermoil, that there is someone who keeps bees, because I have heard that. I've been told that in the past. A mass of flowers here on the Katonah Aster, which, as you know, I pruned back quite hard last autumn and winter, because it had grown massively and it was shading so much else here in the garden that I thought, well, I've got to keep a handle on everything that's growing so close to the cottage, because otherwise it will become just an impenetrable jungle. But it appears that by giving this quite a hard prune has given it a totally new lease of life. Look at the flowers breaking out on this. Isn't this amazing? And of course it seems to have a much neater canopy. And you can see the roses there on the other side. And the roses are going right up into the tree there, into the hazel tree, which I had pruned. Well, I had coppiced actually, but I think I need to coppice it a little bit more this year. You can see I left 2 branches on there and 2 or 3 branches up there because the roses were climbing up through it. But I think a little bit more coppicing is going to serve it well. You can now see the fuchsia as well going up over one side of the shed. And the laurel, which had taken over, I cut that right back. So now that's playing more of a minor role there, just on the corner. So when it comes to flowers and shrubs and trees near your home, they don't seem to mind being pruned or coppiced. You know, it's all part and parcel of trying to live harmoniously within the natural world. Of course, further out from Bealtaine Cottage, the plants and the trees dominate as they will. Yep, all those beautiful figs growing plumper and plumper as the days draw on. And you might be able to hear the sheep in the background. My neighbour John brought all the sheep back up onto the land yesterday. So they're all over there buying, and it's quite funny to listen to them. And there's a lovely kind of a cycle of life goes on here in the country. Now this oak tree really has grown beautifully this year, and there's a lot of smaller trees around it, some of which I may have to go in and kind of coppice quite hard this year, because they're not going to do an awful lot as the canopy of the oak tree spreads. Look at these beautiful Oxide Daisies. Now these are little bulbs that I put into a pot. And look at them, they're gorgeous. So they're flowering. I just put the pots on top of the soil. And then there's this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous foxglove just coming up there. And all that yellow over there, it's buttercups. Most people regard those as weeds, but weeds, sometimes when they're left alone, just in one little place, because you can mow around them and let them have their day as well, they can look beautiful. So here's the buttercups and the Oxide Daisies, both of which are classified as weeds. But I mean, look. Isn't that beautiful? So I'll just walk you over this way a little bit. So I've got a little bit of cutting back, just a little bit here on this beautiful copper beech. And again, it's all about just trying to keep everything near the cottage in harmony. But I won't do that until the autumn. Here's another path that I'll have to trim back. Got some lovely apples up there on my Bramley apple tree. Let's have a look at how the apples are developing over here. Look at this is crazy. And I have been cutting back. So let's have a little look. Wow, they're coming on quite well, aren't they? Yep. Yep. And down there you can see some more. And over here, if I can squeeze through the paths, you can see some more there. The under canopy has grown crazily. And you can see where I've been trimming back. So I just do the chop and drop because that helps to keep everything else from growing up through it. And here I've been doing the chop and drop. I've got halfway along this path, well, 3/4 of the way. And if I just walk in here, you'll be able to see why I've been cutting back the path with the chop and drop. Because look, here we go. There's lots and lots of black currants coming out here. Lots of them. And I would like to get in, excuse me, and do a little bit of harvesting of the black currants. Buddha is, let me see, visible? Not quite. He's been hemmed in. So look at these beautiful black currants. Lovely, massive, massive crops again. Always these massive crops. You can't go wrong with black currants. And people often ask me about, which black currants are they? Well, look at, you can take virtually any black currant, take a cutting during the autumn, put it straight into the soil, and invariably it will root. And start fruiting the following year. So it's as simple as that. Now look in here. So yes, there's bindweed. It can struggle the same as everything else. It doesn't bother me too much. I do chop and drop whenever I can get in here. This is the lunacy garden, so this isn't about me anyway. This is very much for the butterflies, the bees, the birds. This is their little stomping ground. And look what's happened to the beautiful ball that was in front of the Buddha. It seems to be degrading. I'll just leave it like that. So this is I'm trying to remember the name of this one. Ligularia, this beautiful yellow one is. And I'm just watching a big bumblebee in there amongst the comfrey. So there's lots of comfrey here, which the bees adore. And you can see, look through the polytunnel. Can you see all the poppies there? They look quite mystical, don't they, behind the plastic? And of course there is the feverfew. And in between, the flowers on the kale. This little cherry tree that I grew from a seed collected up at my old school has really broken through the canopy and is just loving its new sort of freedom of being able to stretch out. This promises to be a gorgeous tree. So again, here I've just done the chop and drop. I don't get too, look, you can see bindweed coming through here. I don't get too obsessed with that, you know. Like last year, the bindweed was all over this Katonah Aster, and you can see from last year, do you see the little bits still on there? Well, this year, it's not making much of a mark, simply because the Katonah Aster appears to be shading out and kind of bullying out the bindweed. So that's interesting, isn't it? You know, we can obsess too much on wanting everything to be perfect. And in that obsession, we forget to just open our eyes and appreciate what's there. And I always say to people, you know, look at the bigger picture and enjoy it, rather than looking at the minutiae and the detail of what you perceive to be imperfection. Because I don't think imperfection in nature exists. Now this is, I did have a name for this. This was a tiny little patch some years ago, and it seems to have spread. But you know, it's not really harming the blackcurrant bushes on the other side. This side has all been heavily mulched. So let it have its day. It's got some tiny little flowers opening up, and I think the bees quite like that. And you can see the nettles in there as well. But then on this side, we've got all the black currants, which seem to be in perfect kind of symbiosis with it all. Beautiful, beautiful fuchsia up there. Let's just trip along here to the other side. Now look, as I'm walking, look at all these beautiful black currants, and many of which are ready for picking, for harvesting. Some on this side are still developing. Lots and lots of raspberry, which I'm going to leave in place for next year, because of course the raspberry fruits on the 2-year-old stems. And I'm looking here, I've got some plums here. It's always hard to tell until they start to colour. And down here, I noticed this little nest, and you can see where the little birds have hatched, leaving the little blue shell in there. So I was just kind of trimming along and I just noticed it, so I left it, but the birds had already hatched and the fledglings had flown, so it wasn't a problem. Got some hedge trimming to do along there, but I'm going to leave that for a while, although birds don't usually nest in this. But if I do trim it this side of August, I will have a very close inspection before I do anything. So this is my compost heap from last year. I still have compost to dig out, so you can see everything thriving. And goes down there, the entrance to the fairy wood. And the tunnel. I must just show you some of the flowers in here. I must get over today again and give it a good watering. I bucket the water over from the rain barrels, but just over recent days I've been feeling a wee bit kind of sore around my lower back, so I haven't done anything too sort of manual. These lovely flowers. I don't even know the name of these. They're some form of lily, aren't they? Perhaps you can tell me what the name is. And of course my little woodland garden has gone absolutely crazy. And the vine is looking fab. Look how much the bay tree has grown since I pruned it. Lots of lovely poppy seed heads over there, some masses of seed to come. And here, masses of flowers. They're beautiful. And there's the beautiful boy. And look at all the lovely seed heads coming on the parsley. I seem to have all year round parsley in here because I let the parsley seed, and then I get this wonderful scattering of parsley seeds, and then this continual crop of parsley. So, but of course I need to get in here and do a little bit of tidying up as well. I have tried to keep things going over the recent, 2 weeks since I've had this cold? Well, it seems like 2. May not be 2, I don't know. But I still have it, of course. I'm still rather bunged up, as they say. And I'm also kind of coughing up stuff as well. But at least, I haven't needed to go to the doctors. I've been drinking lots and lots of herbal teas with tea made from herbs grown here. And been taking my vitamin C and lots of good deep sleep, which has been important as well. And I have to say thank you to some people who have sent me little gifts. I'm going to write all those names down and do a little thank you video over the coming days. And there's all the flowers on the ground elder, which again is seen as a terrible old weed. But I let that have its day as well, let it flower. I think it's rather beautiful. And then there's other flowers that I've planted, have actually maintained their position year on year. Oh, don't ask me the name of this little flower. I always forget it, every year. And one last little dander around the front. Oh, bees dive bombing everywhere. Of course, they're all up around the jasmine and loving it. And this is the Jacob's ladder. And there's another little Buddha becoming drowned in green. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? And just by the front door, got all the Katonah Aster now coming out in berries, because of course the bees have been busy doing their job of pollinating the flowers. And my little birch trees that I did prune, you can just see there the top of the prune. I did prune those quite hard, but they've bushed out beautifully, because of course I don't want them growing too tall by the front door, but just tall enough to give shelter and to let everything else again have its own space. You can see the old barrel there with the camellia in, starting to rot. I may have to pile a few stones around that just to hold it in place. Of course, I'll leave these little ash trees in place, the ones that have died, with the chalara, because as you can see the birds are using them and the ivy is growing up through them. I won't interfere with nature unless I actually have to get in there and help, so if something's falling over or whatnot. Now, I'm a little bit kind of concerned with the amount of seeds on the sycamore. This is only a young tree, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. Massive amount of seeds on it. But despite the chalara, and sometimes my overly concern for the trees, everything is looking very healthy. There's a wonderful health here. And I must also be aware of the ebb and flow of nature, because there's always this cycle of life and death